say hello, good evening. Let's mute that down. Good evening, hello, and welcome. Bring ourselves up on screen as always. Good evening to Richard, Charles, and Stuart, who are early in the room. Super exciting tonight with all sorts of things to update people on. Maybe a quiet week because isn't it it's Halloween for the UK? Is it Halloween for you, Robert? Coming up on Monday,
31st, right?
Yeah, and all the kids have been off this week, so I took my kids into town to a nice little shop that has board games, and we got a few drinks for them, and non-alcoholic, mind. And we played a few fun games like Buckaroo was one of them they wanted to play, Connect Four,
nice.
And
they probably beat you.
Well, Connect Four.
Yeah, well,
my 14-year-old, she beat me twice. I beat her once. She's very clever. They're all very clever, and we had good fun doing that as always. So no, it's really good and very exciting. Lots of updates for Inner Circle members when we sign off from all the other groups tonight, and so we've got lots and lots to update you with, haven't we, Robert?
Absolutely, and thank you all for showing up again.
Yeah,
and you know, this is a personal thing of something that happened in my family. Don't ever underestimate the power of a review. And we're gonna get into this because my daughter got married, right, last week. And when you pay $2,500 or $3,000 or whatever the amount is for a wedding dress, the most important thing for any wedding is to have a bride, a groom, a wedding dress, and a wedding cake. And then everything else comes in after that. But those are like the key essentials, right? So my daughter, fortunately, is beautiful, and I'm very proud of her. And she could look good in a sheet. There's just nothing that she can't wear and not look good in. But the reality is she had a beautiful dress, and the dressmaker, seamstress, totally missed the mark. Her day, you know, the night before their wedding day, they're supposed to have a final fitting to check the dress, make sure everything was good. They didn't show up. They forgot about it. And then they when they were contacted, because my other daughter started raising hell because there's no wedding dress, and my daughter that was getting married was getting a little stressed over it. So anyways, they promised they would be there in the morning. This is the day of her wedding, and they would come and do the fitting. They showed up, the dress showed up, nobody with it, was just delivered. And it still had the alteration marks from the seamstress on the dress. They only did partial alterations. In addition, the dress was missing buttons on the back. The whole back had a row of buttons. And it was not a good day. You know, this was not happening the day of her wedding, that her dress wasn't even ready and it wasn't finished. So my older daughter got on the phone, and she basically reamed the seamstress out about the alterations not being done, and she needed to get over to this hotel right now and finish this dress, because we literally had less than, I think, 4 hours or 5 hours before pictures. So she did come over. I'll give her that. She got there. They had started all, you know, the girls had their room, and they had all their makeup and hair and all their appointments for all the wedding party. So they were busy with all of that. But while the seamstress was in there, she ripped apart the entire dress, you know, to re-sew it back together to make the alterations that should have been done already. Anyways, the point of all this is so you have the back history of what happened, right? So we we continue on. She gets the dress, the seamstress finishes it. It's time for pictures. And it was done haphazardly where the dress didn't fit the way it should have exactly. And in addition to that, the buttons were so delicate they were falling off. Now, let me paint this picture first. It wasn't because the dress was too tight, the dress was too loose. My daughter had a hard time keeping her chest in the dress because it wasn't tight enough. So the buttons weren't falling off because they were being stressed. They were just not sewn on properly. So she's you know, you could feel it. She was not happy about the dress. Everything else was fine. Pictures were fine. Came out beautiful. Take pictures. We get on the transit bus to go to the venue to get married. And my wife and my daughter she was standing on the bus the whole time over there. So my wife could sew the buttons back on the dress. And we're all watching this, you know, the direct wedding party. So it's a personal thing. And I had to become the door blocker because while they're on the bus finishing, their guests are arriving to the venue, and I'm blocking the glass door because my daughter's in there with her dress and they're still sewing and pinning buttons. So I hear a little bit of I felt horrible for my daughter, but I didn't say too much. I just left it alone. And I told her, you know, it's not the dress. I know it's your wedding day. I know you want everything perfect, but it's not about that. So she went in, she got married, they had a great time, everything was okay. But then afterwards, the scuttlebutt was that dress was just eating her up, that she spent that money, and you know, they were trying to do a stop payment for the credit card, but it was paid with a debit card, and you cannot reverse a debit card charge. Once they have the money, you know, you're out of luck. So I said to her a few days ago, I said, look, I don't know what you're doing or how you're handling this, but if they're not responding, let me at least put up a review, and you put up a review on their Google My Business page. And she said, yeah, I would appreciate that. So she said, just put up a 1 star. They'll get the point. Oh, no. That's not what you do. So, you know, I mentioned it to Stephen, and we talked real quick, and we kind of put together a
response, wasn't it?
An appropriate response. And it's this is the point I want to make to you guys. It's not going back to ream out anybody. You write and respond to any review on any Google page for a business, for a client, for yourself, to the person that's going to be reading the review, not the owner of the profile. Okay. That's the most important thing you can say is you write it to reach the viewer that's going to read this review. Because if it's somebody that, say it's your client and they got an ass reaming by a customer, that client has to respond to that. And they have to respond to that, not to the person that reamed them out and start a war. You have to respond to the person that's reading both of these replies. That's when you look professional. That's when you get past, you know, I'm sorry, whatever happened, you know, we'll make every amends to correct this issue or fix it or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to put in the chat. This is what we responded to a wedding dressmaker. No, I'll read at the same time, but you guys can all read this. So on his profile page, I went in and I must read this one because he had 370 or just under 370 reviews, 4.7 stars. He had a nice page, and I'm thinking, you know, this one will stay up for a little bit, but it'll get some attention. So must read this one. And then I went into it. If I can save just one future bride's wedding day from the experience my daughter went through on her wedding day, is why I am writing this review. Her dress was delivered late, the day of her wedding. with the alteration mark still on the wedding dress, undone and missing buttons. Paying a professional thousands of dollars and getting inferior quality service is not acceptable, in my opinion. You always want to address this as opinions, because if you go too far, then it becomes a case of, is it slander? Is it, there's so many fine lines about how to say things. So if you're always using the word your opinion, you're kind of covering it as it doesn't matter. It's just your opinion. I felt horribly watching my daughter and my wife sewing and pinning buttons back on as they were falling off minutes before my daughter was walk down the aisle of one of the most important days of her life. Really being careful who you choose for your wedding dress, because this was a horrible experience no one should ever have to go through. Please share, like this review, to help other new future brides. So what we did there is we turned this to not the dressmaker. We turned this to people reading this review, that this company may not be the one for you, because if this can happen to one person and they wrote a review like this, it can happen to you when you buy that dress from that manufacturer. So what did we expect to get out of this? I was just getting warmed up, to be honest. I was ready to take this to take the reviews, start sharing, and then start creating video. I was just going to take this to the public, because that's what I felt needed to be done, because there was no answer to this point from that company when my daughter called. Within 9 hours of the review going up, I didn't even know it was happening. My daughter and my wife were on the phone with the owner of the company, who was very apologetic and offered them a settlement of approximately half off of what she paid, and would have the dress cleaned and repaired for whatever was left on his bill. So she got her dress for half off, basically. But I wouldn't have settled for that, but that's okay. If they're happy with that, as long as they're happy and my daughter doesn't have that hanging over her head, I'm okay. But once you have their attention, once you have that review in place, and you're not gonna back down, you're gonna reinforce this. And that's when you understand how this works, you can literally shut down a business based on bad reviews on their profile. It's not fair, but in some cases, legitimate businesses are put out of business because of bad reviews. And people that write reviews, some of them are professionals at it. That's all they want to do, is go write reviews and get refunds. That's not the case here. It wasn't about the refund. It was about letting other people know. So your ability to change how things go all comes back down to how you write it and what you respond with it. And there's so many examples out there of how to do it wrong. But if somebody puts up a negative review and you go back with, screw you, and I'll just tell you off, and you're completely wrong and you're an idiot. No, you have to write that response based on the next person that's coming in to review through the reviews, and read first the first one that was negative, and then your response to it. If your response to it is not correct, that reviewer of all of this is going to go on to somewhere else. If they feel the company reached out, tried to repair, tried to correct whatever was wrong, then they have a chance of saving those people. And the other thing that you can do is bury the bad reviews. When you have the resources to do this, and somebody puts in a bad review, and if there's enough good ones, right, you can add more good ones on top of a bad one to get it down the list and raise your star level back up. Because let's face it, if we're looking at anybody's Google business partners page and it's below a 3-star, we move on. We're going to go look for 4s and 5s. We're not staying there. That's what we've been taught to do. We are now the sheep following the Amazon review codes. That's because that's what we do. We go look for a product, and then we go right to the reviews. If it had decent reviews, we'll buy it. If the reviews are not so good, we'll move on to another product. We've been taught this, and everybody has been taught this. Like it or not, social media is now dictating what you buy and who you buy from, just based on reviews and based on how many stars or how many stars it doesn't have. So we all have to react and we all have to respond correctly when you're looking at this. So I know that if we push this, it's not the money. That business at, what, say $2,000, $3,000 a pop is the average wedding dress, right? That business would have lost a lot of potential brides, future brides, just because of a bad review. Now the guy's smart enough to say, oh, shit, I better fix this because I'm going to lose money on other people watching these reviews. He knows online's important. He has 300 or however many there were, 360 something reviews and a 4.7 average because he fixes them. He goes and makes sure there's not, because he knows the cost. The cost is going to be very high if he starts dropping in rankings and dropping in the 4.765 ratio on the stars. People are going to look elsewhere with their dress, and that's going to cost them a lot of money. So it's cheaper way up front. Make them happy. Even if I have to give the dress away or half the dress away or whatever, make them happy. What's going to work? So keeping that in mind for yourself, for your own, Google business partner pages, as well as your clients, the response is so delicate. You have to do it right. You have to make sure it's always being written and the story is always being told for the people that are going to come in and read it. If you have that down, you have power. You really do. And, this just goes to show that one response 9 hours later, it was $1,200. I think was the midway what they settled on. Was it worth it for me to spend 20 minutes to write a review? Because she was unhappy, she wasn't getting a response. I was going to get them a response. If I had my way, she would have been paid money by the time I was done, because you can't do that to a young bride. But that's I wanted to bring that attention to detail of what you can and can't do. Don't be like everybody else and go to war with who wrote a bad review or who wrote a bad thing on a client's page. You got to do it right, and you got to respond. You reply to every review that's written. That's just a must, because then you're being seen as a professional, whether it's your clients or yourself, that you're responding to people reviewing your company. And even if it's as simple as really appreciate your honest review, you can get into, and it's very smart to get into, using keyword details in your responses, in your replies, because it helps the search engines see that your reviews are part of the niche that you're in the area that you're in doing it. So all these things can come into play in a simple review, but it's online marketing. These are the little things that can happen that you can make a difference. You can make an influence on what people read and what Google will show them. Because if you're answering, you don't want to answer with your company name on every response, but if you're doing every other or every third and you're saying, you're the company name in this location, we appreciate your review of our company, or whatever you want to say it as. Those are the things that go in those. It's extra words on the page, showing location and showing what you're doing. So if you keep that in mind, it's really powerful. And I know I would have buried the guy. I just would have buried him. So when it comes down to it, that's what you can do. So keep that in mind. It's really food for thought of we have power as marketers, especially when it comes to Google reviews, because the only person that can take them down is the person that put it up. They can reply to it, but they can't take it down. It's a Google review and it follows. So if the Google review isn't enough, then you start the reviews on Facebook, and you start the reviews. You can start doing YouTube videos for the same review, but be careful how you word it and make it your opinion so that it's not becoming a slander type of situation where you're hurting the company and using it in a slander situation.
The other thing to do as well, if you have a fake review but up against a business that you're working with and you know it's fake, what you can simply do is respond back saying, really sorry you feel this way. We've gone through our records and we have no record of any bookings or services with yourself. If you reach out to our support team and put an email address in there, we'll gladly talk to you directly on how we can resolve this. And it's then implying that that person is but a fake review. If they then respond in an angry way, as long as you stay polite, you come back and say, look, once again, we haven't received an email to our support from you. We haven't heard anything back from you. We're really keen to resolve this. Then what happens then is it does two things. One, it tells Google that it is a fake review. And if you then, as Steve said in the chat, he's got reviews removed. So you can then reach out to Google. So this is a fake review. We've reached out asking for the person to email us, confirm who they are, match up the Google review, and they're not doing it. We can only assume it's a competitor putting up a bad review. You know, Barry in the chat also said, what I've always said is over the years, any business can make a mistake, and it's how you resolve it that matters. It's absolutely true. Always stay polite. And in the case of lead gen, what we're doing, when you get your Google My Business listing, if you do get a bad review, right, reach out, reply back, but put a contact email address in there of some sort where they can get hold of you. Then talk to the person and say, okay, what was the issues? Take it down, write it down, then go out to the person you're supplying the leads to and say, look, you went out and did this job, they're really unhappy. Is there a way you can resolve it? Now, if they're complete idiots and they don't want to resolve it, that's the point where you say, well, sorry, it's my reputation on the line here. We can't supply you leads anymore. Right?
Mm.
And then off your own back, see if you've got the finances to do it, find another contractor to come in, right, and support and see if they can put it right to then get that review turned around by that customer. You know, it's always pays to try and look after customers yourself. I haven't, I've been very lucky with the lead gen sites I've done. I haven't had any bad reviews on them, and it's always a little bit of a worry. But if you do get a bad review, just always respond back politely and go, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to resolve any matters. And that's always the best way, because you're coming over as the goodie, and the bad person is the person leaving the bad review who's getting all funny. My partner on eBay deals with people every day in, day out when she sells her children's clothing, and she had one person who put sent a message actually saying, I haven't received the goods. And she looked through, couldn't find any transactions to do with this person, went back and said, we can't find your transaction, raise a dispute and we'll respond to it properly. Not a thing after that. We had someone else who put a positive review up on eBay, and then 3 weeks later went, I didn't receive my items. And we went back and said, well, you've said you're happy you received them. So we're forever catching people out, people who want to try it on. But on the other side, there are genuine people out there as well. And reputation management is really super big. And one of the things we've been talking on, we did a live about the CloudKey software. In their CRM, and for those that don't know what CRM is, pretty much is an automation of we can automate your messages that go out across different channels. And inside that package is a reputation management system, and it's one reputation management per CRM. So if you've got a client signed up into the CRM for so much a month, you could link up their business into the reputation management, and it shows everything to do with I think it's Facebook, Twitter, Google. All the reviews come up so you can monitor them, and it's really important to be able to monitor reviews all in one place. because you've got them all in one place. It's not jumping web page to web page.
Right,
It's
right,
all,
right.
you know, the moment you get a bad review come up or a review come up. And what's clever about the CRM that I've been told, and I'm going to play around with it myself, is the fact that you can automate some of the reviews. So when someone puts a review up, right, you can do certain amounts of automation on replies, depending on the response. And I'm talking to the creators of it to understand a bit more, to make sure that is fully in play, you know. And you know, it's very much just responding to people, looking after them, making sure they're okay, making sure they feel welcomed. You guys know with what we do, if someone's got a problem, we'll look after you. You know, we've tonight, literally just before we're going live, a ticket was in the support desk, and Robert had the same problem, and we got our devs looking into it. Of when you go into the hosting control panel, the direct admin button's grayed out at the minute. Now we don't know if that's everyone or just certain accounts, but we are onto it already. We're already getting it looked into, we're getting it sorted, and that'll be done as quickly as possible. You know, these things happen with technology. Things do go wrong, but it's how people look after it, how people look after you. You know, and you guys know we jump on calls with you, we make sure you're okay. And even if we had thousands of people in the inner circle, we'd still do the same. We'd still find time for the jobs that need that help, you know, on one-on-one and general things. Greg will jump in and go, yeah, I'll fix it for you, or this is what the issue was, or a quick video. But, you know, and it's all about support. I had someone message me today saying, I asked some questions about a particular product. I won't name the product. They asked some questions, and they found it very frustrating that they haven't had a response back from the people who own that product. And I went, well, I know the product. Any questions you've got, I'm happy to answer them. And they came back and asked me some questions. I've responded, and it's looking like they're going to become a customer with us anyway, because I've looked after them. And that's a very simple way. You know, we talk about on other calls that EL Messenger Pro, how easy it is to set it up and get people into your own group, niche people into your own group, interested in what you're doing. And you just go to Facebook and type a niche in on, search for a group in your niche, and there's loads of them out there that'll come up. You know, and if it doesn't come up, we'll pick a different niche. You know, but you can automate all of this, which we're in such a good position in this digital world now, that you don't have to go out to an office and have some bloke nagging in your ear that's your boss going, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? You know, and you have to leave early in the morning to get there because of traffic or the train strikes or whatever. You get there, you do a day's work, and then you've got to travel home. You end up getting home late. The missus is nagging you, or your partner is nagging you because you got home so late. You know, the advantage of working from home and working for yourself is you can have that lifestyle. Yes, the first year of building any business is hard work, but put the dedication in, put the focus in. Don't keep jumping around. There are sometimes I talk to people who like to jump from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another. You have to say, this is my starting point, and over here is my end goals. What are my end goals? What are my goals? Where do I want to be in the future? And that's what this is about. Is I wrote up on my board my end goals, right? And the bits in between are the bits I'm filling in. And you find your feet. It's taken us 2 years with DFY Magic Themes to finally be getting somewhere where the product upgrades that are coming up soon, and we'll talk about in the inner circle, the exciting updates we've got coming up, will improve everyone's life who's in with us for DFY Magic Themes.
Oh,
and it'll make it even
without
easier.
a doubt, without a doubt. It's going to become, it's so exciting. We want to tell everybody, we have to wait until it's ready. So close, and the things are just simplified.
Yeah,
is the best thing I can say. Simplified, but yet 10 times the value.
I know. It's going to be super exciting. Mr. Steve says, do we get free cookies?
No, but you'll be cookied it for every website you go to.
Yeah. So saying that, I like to is there anything you want to start saying to people, Robert, when I find the folder with the halfway point jingle in, because we're going to start saying goodnight to all the free groups as we always do.
Yeah, we say all the same things a lot, and it's let's stay focused. Let's really look at where we're going to go and what we're going to do. And I know what Steven and I are going to do. Now it's up to you guys that are looking at where you're going to go. What's your next goal? What's your next level? And if you're not part of the inner circle, if you're not part of what we're doing as far as building localized niche websites for business, think about there's so much opportunity for the local business that can't keep up with the tech. There's many of them that think they can. There's many of them that I know. My wife used to work for a chiropractor, and the man loved technology, couldn't do it, could not do it himself, loved the idea of it, and would spend 10, 20, $30,000 on different programs that people would offer them to come in and automate their business. The thing was, they never worked. They never took it from A to Z. They took the money, they got him started, and then it was up to them to fill in the details. And as soon as the roadblock came up of something having to be done by staff, game over. And then it was the next one and the next one. You guys looking at just at one example of the guy is a master chiropractor. That's his thing. He can really adjust people well. Business-wise, he can't have the things he really wants and doesn't have time for them. He's being a doctor, not an online marketer full-time doing the things that he should be doing. So when we pull in and show them the reasons why you need this or the reasons why you should have this other feature, and I can handle this for you for this much per month. It's not like you have to hire me to be an employee. I just charge a flat fee. You can actually write off me as an expense against your business for the service that I provide. Yet it'll bring you in, it depends what you're talking about. But let's say it brings in tenfold what you're spending. He's making money by the service that you're providing. Could be reputation management. It could be as simple as responding to his Google reviews. It could be going out and calling the clients to push them. That's a reputation management type of thing, to push them to get a review. Nobody wants to ask for reviews. It's this, why shouldn't you? But yet everybody knows we should do it, but we don't. And it's the same thing for the business owners. And we know, or we should know, but by now, that when you have a Google business listing that has great reviews on it, and a lot of them, they're going to outrank the guys that don't. So it's all the direction you guys want to go. But if you don't pick a path, if you don't pick somebody to follow, if you don't pick somebody that you feel fits where you're going, you're going to be floundering, and you're going to be chasing the shiny objects that may or may not work for you. Chances are won't, because you're going to hit a pothole, you're going to hit a roadblock. And these are the things that are constantly happening. These are constantly things that we hear. And we are, Steve and I are like the steamrollers out there on the road, making sure the potholes are filled for you before you get there with your car. We just want it real, simple, smooth for you to go from A to Z and get the sites built, get them ranked, and get them rented. That's the goal. That's the plan for us. Now, if that's in your wheelhouse and that's where you want to go, this is where you should be looking. This is what you should be following. If your passion is blue widgets and pink widgets, you go after your passion. Don't waste time on something that there is no such thing as the online ATM machine that you can just throw a little money at it and it's going to throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at you because you bought it. There's always work involved. There's no such thing as that free ride. And I know that's how marketers sell it. But you know what? The marketers that are selling that's their trade. They know how to sell. and they know how to push your buttons to say, this thing you put in 25 cents, and by next week, you're going to be a gazillionaire. And somehow by the end of that hour and a half webinar that they beat you up over, showing you the cars and the planes and the trains and the buses and the ships that they already have, you buy into it. Will it work? It could. The ideas, the concepts are there. They're all there. And, even sales, not to be on a rant, but even in sales, if you have, we were talking about the other day, if you have 2 people on your list and you email them every single day or you call them every single day, are you gonna make enough money to survive? No, because those people aren't enough numbers. You got to have the numbers. That goes into building your list. That goes into building your community. That goes into building your Facebook groups. These are the important things. When you have enough people, you go from 2 to 10 to 100. Now you have 100 people that you can email and talk to once a day or twice a day or every week or whatever your plan is. Now you have 100 people. You have a chance of 2% conversion, 2 to 3%. Now you have 2 or 3 sales based on 100. Now get it to 1,000. Now get it to 10,000. That's when you start making the real money in the numbers game. But the rank and rent business, you got to have a product to sell. You got to have something to show them. That's why we're coming out with the Fire deal, which is to make sure that you have demo sites that are already built. You don't even have to worry about building them. You can show the link, show the demo site, and just contact your customer, your client directly, let them see it, let them, it's a generic name. So it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't connect to anything. You show it to them, it doesn't matter. They're not going to see DFY magic themes all over it. It's just a website, right? And it's your website that has the links from it in the Fire deal. But that's where we're going. It's please follow your passion. If you can't afford to buy the things you want to buy, don't buy them. But get on a program that makes sense for you to get where you want to be. If you don't do that, you're wasting years of time. Trust me. Trust me on that. This is from the heart. You're going to waste years and years and lots of money buying things that are not going to work for you. You got to find one thing that works. And a person
you have to
that
stick with it as well, don't you?
Yeah, you must.
And the thing is as well, I speak to people all the time that are paying for lots and lots of products. We are getting to a point, Black Friday we're aiming for, where we're going to have the full build, rank and rent system in play. So it's going to be a quick, easy build the website with the demos on it, rank it locally for yourself, and then do all the stuff we teach you, normally the citations, all the other stuff we talk about all the time, and get that site, become the professional person in your local area for these sites. Then then you can use a product like Email Messenger Pro to build your own group and pull in all the local business to business groups into yours, and then get people to share so that they're doing all the work in the group for you. But then you pop in and go, hey, we just got ourselves a new HVAC site. Come and look at this new HVAC site. Here's, it's on our main page. Go and have a look. That drives traffic to your website, first of all. Google loves traffic. What do? They move you up because you're getting more and more traffic. People go and click on one site, they click on another, and they go, actually, yeah, I wouldn't mind that HVAC site. I'll come back to you. Hello, Steve. Interested in the HVAC site? And they go, great. We can rent it. We can set one up in your area, rent it out $250 a month for a small area. If you want a larger area, we can talk about that at a later time. What if I want to buy it? Yeah, $25K. And that's the idea of this. The problem with all the courses that are out there I've seen at the moment, right? And whilst the people behind them know their stuff and they're very good, they don't offer you a website at the front end with all the content on. That's the biggest problem. So straight away, you're on a losing ground. I've been on many courses in my time where they say something like, well, by now you built your own website, right? Now I know what I'm doing. I know how to build a website, but someone who's starting out would probably, how do I build a website? Where do I start? Well, we are getting together the simple systems of build, rank, and rent, and that's all coming together into a nice, easy package. And the cool thing is the way we're designing these now, you will not need a mass page builder at first. You can just set the site up in your local area and add mass pages to it at a later time. And that's how good this is going to become. I don't want to give too much more away than that, Rob, but we've got to move on to the inner circle now and say goodnight to everyone else.
Yeah, and I just kind of went off on that rant. It's just sometimes it's frustrating because I see people that they want so badly, and I understand it, to just move at the speed of light to get somewhere, and as soon as somebody throws something out there, they grab it.
Yeah.
And on the opposite side of that, what we forget is we're showing everything. And when I have somebody that comes in and goes through our training and reminds me of the simplicity of our training, and they pick what I'm thinking of at the moment is they picked up on the citations, which you mentioned a few minutes ago, and they said, I listened to the training. I knew citations were important, but I never understood what they were and what it was all about. I listened to the training, and it just this is like them coming back to us and telling us it was so simplistic in the explanation that I understood what it is now.
It just clicked, and I got it.
And I got it. I understood, and I wasn't being charged extra money to figure out how to do it next. It showed me